is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, the rereading. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Chapters 4 and 5. The Leaky Cauldron and the Dementor. In these chapters, this is the golden age for Harry Potter. He doesn't have all the baggage yet. He's eating ice cream. He's free. Enjoy it while you can, Harry. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Natasha.
I'm Rashawn. Natasha just treated me to a little serenade of the Harry Potter theme music.
I'm very good. They call me the human horn.
For completely different reasons.
I don't like to talk about that, and you don't like it when I use that word, so I'm not talking about it. Oh, God. All right. So, welcome to the show, guys. So this episode, we're only doing 2 chapters, because these are long chapters, actually.
Yeah.
I forgot how long
than I remembered.
Yeah. And this is one of, we already recorded on the movies, and on this movie in particular. And I said when we covered it, I understood why they didn't include this, but it for me was a bummer because it's one of my favorite things. It's just Harry getting to live his life. Just let me live.
It's so good. I mean, we don't get this hardly at all. Ever. Ever in this world. A completely unburdened Harry.
Right.
Well, practically completely unburdened Harry. You know, he's Tom.
As far as he knows.
Tom in this world is a capable innkeeper. So he's,
don't get me started, lady. Get so mad.
What the fuck was that?
What was that, though? Really? I know we brought that up so many times now that people are just sick of hearing it,
ridiculous.
But come on. It's just rude. Have some respect. Tom owns a business.
Right. He doesn't pay his membership dues to the Small Business Association of Diagon Alley to be treated this way.
Oh, I like to pretend that this was all factual and that JK was just kind of reporting on it. And Tom saw the adaptation to film and was like, the fuck?
Right. He's looking around.
He was all excited to see who would play him. And they showed him the actor before the makeup was on. And he was like, oh, great, that looks good. And then he fucking hobbles out on screen and he's like, hold on.
Dude.
Oh, God.
Poor Tom.
But
yeah,
sorry,
so
Tom.
I really enjoyed this too. He's just, hanging out, just being the best Harry he can be.
Mm-hmm.
He's being responsible. He's not running off, getting into trouble anywhere. There's so much to do that he doesn't even bother trying to even leave Diagon Alley because Fudge is like, make sure you stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Harry does.
Yeah, I was thinking about this and I was just like, would I there is a lot of interesting stuff, but Marks and Spencer might be having a sale or something. I might want to run down the road and just check out what they've got for Muggle clothes this year.
He doesn't have a dime in his pocket to pay for anything at that store.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I didn't even think of that. Nope, you're right. You win. But yeah, so he's just getting free ice cream. Florian Fortescue is giving him free ice cream and also like, let me do your term paper for you.
I was going to say, yeah, he's doing his homework.
That's a pretty sweet deal, man.
And it's a really nice description of the wizarding world out, that is not in the middle of a crisis. These are just people fucking coming to town and do their shopping. Old guys sitting around arguing about what's in the paper. It's nice.
It is nice, right? Yeah, I think that in the first recording of this chapter, or maybe, I'm not even sure when, but I think I made the comparison to the first chapters of Song of Ice and Fire, when the Stark family is all still together at Winterfell, and people are just going about their business,
like
archery lessons.
About to end.
Yeah, and you go back and read it and you're like, oh, everything is so happy and nice. And the first time, of course, reading it, you don't realize how quickly this is about to just go to fucking hell. So yeah, Harry goes and gets a bunch of money and really has to exercise some mature restraint to not spend it all right away on dumb shit.
Yeah, he's better than me.
Right? Same. And what motivates him is imagining how embarrassing it would be to go to the Dursleys and have to ask them for money, which I was like, that's actually a pretty solid, motivator. Yeah,
but it's remarkably mature for a kid of his age to have that type of foresight, and not just be in the moment, and without thinking about what the consequences could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it does feel like something that maybe a kid that grew up without anything might not have this attitude. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but everybody reacts so very differently to poverty.
That's so true.
So yeah, good on you, Harry. That's what I'm saying. So he goes, and the one thing that he really gets tempted to spend all of his money on is the new firebolt. And I really like that there's this little thing dropped here. Irish International side's just put in an order for 7 of these beauties and their favorites for the World Cup, which is in the next book, which is delightful, and Ireland wins. Spoiler.
Oh, that's right, they do.
Yeah.
I forgot about that little part. Okay.
So he has, it says price on request, and Harry's like, yeah, I'm not even going to ask.
Yeah, Harry knows. He might not come for money, but he knows. He knows what that means.
And he has to go to get his books, and this poor shopkeeper, when Harry comes in, he doesn't realize this shopkeeper that Harry already has the Monster Book of Monsters.
He sees a kid and is already over it. Mm-hmm. Because he's like, I'm going to have to get one of those fucking books. He's already over this purchase, this agreement to carry this book. He's regretting it every minute of his life.
The books are literally destroying each other.
I like at one point to gang up on another one.
Oh my God, two of them each are on either side of the one, pulling it apart in half at the binding.
Yeah, that shows a little bit more malice than just crazy monster books snapping at anything. The fact that they could team up.
Right? Yeah, they're kind of sentient somehow.
I was like, it's got a little Skynet thing happening.
I don't like it. You know what? The more I think about this, no, I don't think so. But yeah, he manages to get a word in edgewise, because this shopkeeper is get out of the way, the instant that Harry comes in.
He's so mad. He's so mad. He's putting on his gloves and shit, preparing for battle. And Harry's like, no, I actually don't need that book. And as soon as he says that, his whole demeanor changes.
Yeah.
Okay. I do like the joke too when he's yelling at the books and he says, this is worse than when we bought the 200 copies of the Invisible Book. And then we never did find them.
Cost a fortune and we never found them. Oh my God.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. It's kind of a cheap joke, but I enjoy it tremendously.
I mean, like, and this is what I'm talking about with a lot of the Dresden Files stuff too. That there's moments where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I kind of saw that coming, but also that's pretty good. I'm all right with it. I'm going to give you a pass on that one. And speaking of cheap jokes, he has to go to the divination section. Predicting the unpredictable. Insulate yourself against shocks and broken balls when fortunes turn foul. I'm sorry. Can we please imagine the soul that named their book Broken Balls? Oh, that's just fantastic.
It's, yeah.
I love it.
Well done.
And this is when Harry sees death omens, what to do when you know the worst is coming. And he sees this creature on the cover that looks very much like the creature he saw in the alley before the night bus showed up.
Yeah, and he's super distracted by it. And the shopkeeper is like, yeah, you don't want to even mess around with that.
You'll start seeing it everywhere, right? That's how I feel about like numerology and stuff, because my mom's really into numerology, and she has gotten a little bit better about it recently, but she used to text me all the time with screenshots of her odometer on her car, because she would like present a question to the universe while she was driving and interpret whatever the numbers were when she parked as the answer to her question.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And it was just the kind of thing that I think part of, because I kind of finally snapped at her a little bit one time, because she was like, so I got these numbers and it was like, I looked it up and it was like, things are coming to you about your career and blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And I was like, Mom, it doesn't matter what I think. If it happens, then it happens. If it does, you knowing the numbers did not help you. It didn't help you prepare for it. It didn't help you do anything to make that come about. So it doesn't matter. And if it doesn't happen, then looking at these numbers just makes you get your hopes up. And because this had happened so many times, and I was just starting to be like, because she would text me and call me, and well, these are the numbers that I got, and she still does it a little, but it's not the same. And it just for me was like, you are trying to act like looking at these numbers gives you any control over the outcome, and it doesn't. Action related to your question will help determine the outcome. But the numbers have nothing to do with it. But she would see this everywhere. And the more that she read about it, the more she would start to read into stuff and like put other numbers together, divide numbers. It started to get to be like, what is it, the number 47 or whatever with fucking Jim Carrey? Remember that movie?
No.
Oh man, it's like one of those. It's basically like that where he starts to get like paranoid and realize that everything like boils down to the number 47 or number 32. I don't know, some fucking number. And he starts to go a little bananas. So yeah, that's what I feel like about this is that, you know, you see that, you read it, and all of a sudden everything has this meaning.
Yep.
And then even if it's not in the book, you're like, I bet it's in some book though, maybe about good omens. And not the one by Terry Pratchett. And then you go and find another book, and pretty soon every fucking animal that crosses your path, every cloud formation, you're like, oh shit.
Yep.
I just know, I totally see that happening to me. I can get a little obsessive about stuff, you know?
I think I went through a brief period where I was like, exposed to somebody who was like kind of getting into numerology and all that stuff. And I think I did the thing where take your name and try to figure out like what your number is. You add all your letters and, whatever the formula is. And then once you get what your number is, you go to the books and the books will tell you what the number means for you and then how you should look for it and what it means when you see it. But with like most things, I was just like, nah. Because that tends to be my response to practically everything.
That is true. I can vouch for this.
But
to our listening audience, I would like to say correct.
But I was amazed that, like, I remember going into bookstores when they were a thing that you could go into, and the sheer number of volumes dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you go from one book to another, to another, to another. And next thing you know, you're not fucking doing anything without consulting your numbers.
Yeah, that's kind of like I changed because I let my mom get in my head for a while, and I changed my wedding date according to numbers that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Because she was like, that's a really, really bad date. And at the time, like it, and what I'm about to tell you, you're going to be like, oh, okay. The date that I had originally picked to marry Brendan was the worst Mercury retrograde of the year. I mean, Mercury retrograde is one of the few that a lot of people are still like, yeah, that does happen.
Yeah,
now.
You're going to want to change that date.
Right? So she told me that, and I was like, fuck, because I really did not want to deal. And then she gave me an alternate date, and it was just sort of like, I didn't switch it because that other date was better on its... I switched it because that date I picked was terrible. Was really what it was. And then she just offered me any alternative, and I was like, yeah, fine. So we had been gonna get married in I think we were going to get married on October or November of 2009. And instead we got married in May. So we moved it up a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty significant change.
But yeah, nowadays.
But I mean, if Mercury is in retrograde, you don't really want to fuck around with that.
And it's kind of, it's sort of the thing that you look back now and you're like, yeah, but my marriage went down in flames anyway. So
imagine how much brighter those flames would have been, though.
I mean, there's truth to that. How much worse could it have been? I don't know. But it doesn't seem like it helped that much. But anyway, so Harry convinces himself it can't have been a death omen. I was panicking. It was probably just a stray dog, And then we have him meeting his friends because all of the kids from Hogwarts are coming to get their stuff. Term is coming. Time to get prepped.
Yeah. He's looking for them for, a while because he feels like, they should be here any day now. And he starts running into everybody but Harry and Ron and Hermione and Ron. He sees Neville. He runs into Seamus and someone else too.
Seamus
Dean
and
Thomas.
Dean. Yeah.
And when he sees Neville, he's in the middle of getting yelled at by his
course
grandma.
he is.
So Harry doesn't say hi.
Harry's like, Oh, there's nothing worse than being at your friend's house when their parents yelling at them.
Oh, God.
The worst.
Oh, my God. It's so bad. The only thing worse is when it's you getting yelled at by your mom and your friends are at your house.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's worse.
Secondhand embarrassment plus shame.
Oh, my God. I used to have, guys. I used to have a friend and her mom was the worst. She was just a terrible, unhappy, just miserable woman. And we used to hang out at her house all the time, which in retrospect seems crazy. Why were we picking her house to be the hangout house?
That's the thing that I like. Doesn't that tend to be the way, though? You just pick one place and then you never switch, even though...
Even though you're all sitting around why do we keep coming here?
Mm-hmm.
And
did her mom have like good snacks or something?
I don't know. There was never any food in that house.
Oh, that's the worst. That's even worse.
Part of me wants to be like, they must have had cable. But I feel like I had cable, so I could have just stayed home. But for whatever reason, we would just be at their house all the time, and her mom would just lay into her something fierce. And she also had a grandmom that lived upstairs that never came downstairs. She would yell from upstairs, but she was really nice.
So she was like one of those sitcom characters that like they didn't want to bother casting for, so they just have the director like scream from offset.
Basically.
I like it.
She would just yell downstairs, like if she needed you to bring something upstairs to her.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh, why don't I have somebody like that in my books? I need to add somebody that you just literally never see, like Norm's wife on Cheers.
Or Maris from Frasier.
Yes. I remember reading, because I thought that they did the Maris from Frasier thing on purpose, where they were like, oh, we're going to have Norm's wife and never have us meet her. But it wasn't on purpose. They wrote Maris as they were planning on casting someone. And then enough time passed that they started to be like, hey, you know what? What if we just do the Norm's wife thing? And everybody was like, right? Genius. Yeah.
I know that.
Which I think is great. I just love that it was an accident.
You know what? That makes sense, though, because we're actually in the middle of a Frasier rewatch. And as the seasons go along, their descriptions of Maris become more and more ridiculous.
Yes.
And so it makes sense that at the beginning, it's not very specific about like any of her physical characteristics, really. But by the end of it, she's some kind of translucent, frail woman that weighs 6 pounds.
One of my favorite jokes is when Niles says that he was trying to play a prank and put down a whoopee cushion. But alas, my fawn proved too light. What is it that he says? Proved too light to activate it. He calls her my fawn. Oh, that's one of my favorite jokes. At one point, somebody sees her off camera, and I think it's Daphne, who's like, they say, oh, that's Maris. And she's like, I don't see her. All I see is that coat rack. And then she goes, oh.
I was watching one, and I think they were, Niles was showing pictures of them on a cruise. And Daphne is like, why is she wrapped like in a cloak, on a cruise? And Fraser's like, one beam of sunlight and she'll burst into flame.
Oh God, those jokes got so good. Like they were just so ridiculous, but that was what made them so good. All right, so happy reunion between friends, yay! Hermione's gonna take Muggle studies because she cries seeing like that. And she has birthday money, and she's like, I want to get an owl. And then we get our first introduction to Scabbers, in which we get all of the red flags that we never, ever notice.
Yep.
Because why would we? And
they go to the shop, and we get he's lived way too long for an average rat. He doesn't seem to have any magic powers or interesting powers or anything like that. Crookshanks goes bananas.
Crookshanks goes bananas, indeed.
What else? Is there anything else?
Oh, and then he's just looking sickly all of a sudden.
Oh,
when
right,
he had been doing fine.
Yeah, because Ron thinks it had something to do with the trip. That's right.
So she's basically like, well, this rat's probably gonna die. You want a new one? Which is so cold-blooded. Jesus Christ, lady. The rat's right there. He can hear you. And,
I like the descriptions of some of the other animals. Like there's the jewel-encrusted tortoise. Which, you kind of like, why wouldn't you get that? But I guess he must be kind of expensive.
Probably.
And he's not very practical. Like, how long would it take him to do anything fun?
And maybe if you took the jewels out, they like turn into tortoise blood or something.
Oh, no. Why?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of something that would make people not want a jeweled tortoise. And, what if the jewels are useless?
I didn't mean take the circle for the jewels. I meant, he could keep them.
I mean,
but why though? Like,
why though?
Oh, and the rabbit that keeps changing.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, I forgot about that. So yeah, Ron's in the middle of his transaction to buy some rat tonic, which sounds like a really nasty Halloween themed drink.
I mean, yeah.
It's like somebody's like, I'm really clever and I'm going to make this black cocktail with like a fake rat tail sticking out of the glass. And everybody's like, I'll pass. Nobody takes your fancy drink that you worked so hard on because it's just too revolting.
I like that it's just rat tonic.
Yep.
Like, it's not even tonic for a specific ailment. It's just rat tonic.
She's like, listen, on the DL, this is going to kill your rat. But... But, like, he's on the way out, buddy. Just accept it.
And Ron is, like, all kind of pissy about the other rats, like the good rats.
That are fucking jump roping with their own tails.
All them show off.
I like to imagine that they're double dutching somehow.
Oh, my God. How great is that?
They used to double dutch in my neighborhood with phone cords. Phone cables.
Yep.
Oh, that shit would hurt when it whacked you. Oh.
Yes, it would. And I was never really good at it. And I also couldn't turn. So they would never let me turn. I was double-handed. So yeah.
Aw.
Which is the saddest thing to be is a little black girl who's double-handed.
What is double-handed? What does that even?
It's hard to describe, but like, all right, so you know how if you're picturing double dutch, right? Like it's like pat, 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 like one rope, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you know how when you turn and both ropes go in at the same time?
Yeah.
So it's just like kind of like they meet together and hit the ground together.
Yeah, so it's like a egg beater.
Yeah, that's how I would turn. I would call it being double-handed.
But don't you want that sometimes?
If you're doing some fancy tricks and shit, yeah, but that wasn't on that level.
Oh,
Girl,
okay.
Turn some regular fucking double dutch.
Gotcha. Huh, interesting. Okay.
And I was always scared to jump in, so I would always start in the ropes.
Listen.
Because like that fucking jumping in shit, terrifying.
I jumped in one time. I got whacked with the fucking phone cable. Never again. I just did that once and that was enough and I was fucking done. Never again. And I was so jealous of everybody who could do it. And they were like, go ahead, just try it again. And I was like, mm-mm.
I think I remember the first time I did it. The first time I did it and I made it in, I was so excited that I didn't jump once I was in. Like,
right.
Like I got in and then I started celebrating. So my turn was over. And then it was like 6 months before I made it back in.
Oh. Oh. Bless. This is making me want to try that again. Like, I wonder if I could do it now.
Oh, man.
Oh, lady, I went to Zumba this week twice. And can I just tell you how fucking disillusioning it is to be dancing and kind of feeling yourself and then see in the mirror what is actually happening? I thought I was doing all right. I mean, I was doing all right in that my feet were moving when they were supposed to be moving. But I did not look like I was doing the thing the teacher was doing at all. Like, it was the kind of thing that I was like, my body feels like, how does it not look what? Like, she's like, now roll your hips. And I'm like, I'm rolling my hips. And I look up and I look like I'm hurting myself. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, oh God, it was so awful. And I picture, like, I used to take belly dancing lessons, and I did belly dancing at the Renaissance Fair, and I was good at it. But somewhere along the way, I forgot how to move my body at all. And like this rolling the hip thing, my teacher's doing it and she looks great. And if I just look at her and do the move and don't look at myself, I'm kind of good because I can just convince myself I look like that while I'm doing it.
But the goddamn mirror.
Fucking mirror, man. It's huge. You can't avoid it. And I just like, there's a couple moments where she's like, now slide your foot to the left. Now slide your foot to the right. And I look like I'm literally going to fall over.
Oh
and
my God.
I feel fine. I feel stable. I'm sliding my foot and I feel fine. But I look in the mirror, and if I were watching me, I'd be like, oh God, is she okay? Like, I'd be concerned about me.
Oh my God.
Kind of thing. It was just, man. So yeah, I like want to give Double Dutch another try, but
but the other party was like,
I don't think anybody's ready for that. Oh, anyway, man. So this fucking cat jumps down, goes nuts, trying to get after Scabbers. Scabbers runs away, and Ron and Harry have to go find him. And Hermione comes out of the pet shop, and she bought that motherfucker that just jumped on Ron's head.
I love her for that.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't, but something about the fact that she bought the cat anyway. And she's all like, well, I had to. Nobody else was going to buy him. And he's been there so long. And isn't he adorable? But it just fucking attacks your friend.
Yep.
Like, not even a whole 2 minutes ago. And you're like, yeah, I'll take that. Thank you.
I'm trying to find, let's see, that thing nearly scalped me. He didn't mean to, did you, Crookshanks? Oh my God. No. Are you okay? You would never do that. I mean, I have a cat that's pissing all over my fucking house. But when she acts cute, I'm just like, she doesn't mean it. She's good. She just does it because she has anxiety problems. And I like totally excuse it, even though most of the time I like want to kill her. When cats are cute, they're cute, man.
Really are.
There's no getting around it.
Powerless against it.
So, Hermione, by the way, got Ron's rat tonic. And they're both going to bring their pets to school. And she's like, whatever. One's going to be in my dorm and the other's going to be in your dorm. And it'll be fine.
And it should have been. But turns out.
I mean, it really shouldn't have been. Animals don't just stay in your dorm. Especially cats. Like.
Well, see, okay.
Scabbers doesn't even have a cage.
This is not your house. Your pet can't just roam freely around the grounds. Goddamn right, it's going to stay in the dorm. That's where it's supposed to be.
I don't see.
But am I wrong?
Like, if I could stay in Gryffindor Tower in general, sure, but just staying up in the girls' dorms specifically, that's not enough room.
Well, I don't know how big these dorms are.
Cats want to be social. They want to be down by the fire, on the hearth, warming their furry little bellies, because they're from Egypt and they like the heat. That's how that goes, right? Science. So then they run into the Weasleys. Hey! Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, I mean. And Fred and George. And Percy, the head boy. And Ginny Weasley, who is super embarrassed because Harry saved her life.
Yeah. She's still in that phase. And she can barely even speak when Harry's around. It's adorable.
It is kind of adorable. And fucking Percy. I hope you're well. Oh my God. How nice to see you. Harry, said Fred, elbowing Percy out of the way and bowing deeply. Simply splendid to see you, old boy. Marvelous, said George, pushing Fred aside and seizing Harry's hand in turn. Absolutely spiffing. Oh my God. That's enough now, said Mrs. Weasley. Mom, said Fred, as though he'd only just spotted her and seizing her hand too. How really corking to see you. I love them so much.
Commitment to a bit is just always going to be the funniest thing. When he turns around to his mom and just like keeps going with it. It's so good.
Twins forever are like, they just speak to me on this deep level that I don't think I even fully understand. So tragic.
I like that Mrs. Weasley is all like, they haven't made you two prefix. Like they're supposed to be shamed by that.
Right?
Does she know her children at all?
They both look at her like, Jesus, I hope not. What? Just the fucking very idea of it is horrifying. So that night they all have dinner together. And they hear that the ministry is going to be sending a car to pick them up, which is very unusual. And they're all kind of like, what's that about?
And Arthur does not do a great job of explaining this.
Yeah, he really
First
doesn't.
He's kind of like, I don't have one anymore.
Yeah, well, that illegal car I had, they really wanted to like replace it for me. So... yeah, that makes sense. All right, guy.
Like, oh, well, I work there. They're just doing me a favor. Mm-hmm. Since when, though?
Yeah. And Harry goes upstairs after dinner, and Ron can't find his rat tonic, and Harry says he'll go get it. And he comes across Mr. and Mrs. Weasley talking about him and Sirius Black, and that Sirius is after Harry. He's at Hogwarts. Yeah. He's at Hogwarts. Oh.
So, movie question. I can't remember. We get the scene in the movie. I know the whole Diagon Alley thing is cut super short.
No, okay, so in the movie, Arthur just tells Harry straight up that he needs to be careful of Sirius Black, that he was a follower of Voldemort.
Right, okay.
And that's the scene that I was like really frustrated with the sound quality, because they have all of this stuff going on in the leaky cauldron around them, and you can like hardly hear their conversation, and it's really irritating. And also Arthur's talking really fast throughout as well.
That's right.
So it just kind of like bugged me.
Yeah. I like this one. I mean, obviously I like it better, but I like the fact that it's a conversation between him and Molly. Mm-hmm. So they're weighing the pros and cons of whether Harry should get this information or not.
Yeah.
They're getting like both sides of it. I just think that plays much better for who we already know Arthur and Molly to be. Mm-hmm. And then I like too that they don't actually have to tell him that he hears it.
Right. Agreed.
So kind of, even Harry says it too. It's like, it's not your fault that I overheard it.
Yeah.
You're not responsible for it. You didn't tell me, so you don't have to feel bad.
Yeah. You didn't break your word to Fudge, so it doesn't count. That's how that works, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just I'm not going to do it again. But the movie sucked.
I like, and also the thing that they said that Sirius is muttering that he's at Hogwarts, mm-hmm. which we find out later, of course,
is a whole other thing than we thought.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy going back and seeing all of the stuff that we thought we knew at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So Harry goes upstairs and he's thinking to himself about how it just doesn't seem that scary. Like, he feels like he should be more scared than he is, but he's going to be with Dumbledore at Hogwarts, and he already faced Voldemort.
Yeah.
And who the fuck does he care? This guy's nothing. Which I kind of liked, to be honest, because it was hard for me to get scared on Harry's behalf while I was reading, because I just didn't feel like that worried about him.
Yeah.
So for him to have the exact same reaction as me and just be like, I'll probably be fine. I was like, okay, yeah, good. Yeah, we're on the same page here, buddy.
Yeah, it's hard to take, I don't want to say it's hard to take it seriously, but all the stuff that we're hearing about Black, it's hard to be that worried about it when we've just, like he says, he's already faced and escaped Voldemort 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just some guy he's never heard of that everybody is talking about in hushed, tones.
Right.
But like, who the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
I also like that the mirror. He says, I'm not going to be murdered.
Oh my God, I forgot.
And then that's the spirit fear.
That's one of my favorite things, to be honest. I just really love this mirror. You're fighting a losing battle there, dear, when he's trying to flatten his hair out. Oh, it's just so adorable. I just like in general that these that the mirrors will like pipe up occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does make you feel weird if you're ever getting dressed alone in your room and the mirror is just like watching you. But
well, I hadn't really thought of that, but now thank you.
Hey, anytime you need things to get uncomfortable, I will be there for you. That's what I'm best at. So the next day they go to get on the train, and Mr. Weasley decides that he's going to tell Harry, despite Mrs. Weasley saying that she really doesn't think it's necessary. And he starts to, and Harry's like, it's cool, I know already.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, okay, just promise me, though, that you won't go looking for Sirius Black. And he's like, why the fuck would I do that? And Arthur keeps being like, promise. And he's like, I'm not promising shit. I don't even know what you're talking about. Which I kind of like. He doesn't actually say he won't promise, but he's just so focused on being like, what are you talking about? That the train starts pulling away and he still hasn't actually had to give his word.
Yeah.
Which works out quite nicely. And then Harry goes on and like tells Hermione and Ron about it, and they're like way more concerned about this than he is.
They are definitely way more freaked out. Which I guess makes sense for Ron, because I'm, assuming that he's grown up kind of knowing, he's from this world. And He knows what a serious, I hate that.
Oh, serious.
Right.
I get it.
But he knows what a threat Sirius is.
Right.
Or what everybody thinks he is anyway. Like, he's grown up with that kind of, and that feeling and the news and everybody deciding that he was guilty and all that stuff. And Hermione is just, kind of her normal cautious self. So it makes sense that they would both be really concerned.
Right.
This. And it's kind of a wonder that Harry is surprised that they are this concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like... I guess what it really is just when you're not bothered about something and other people take it so seriously, it's just like you can't get yourself in that headspace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that's really what it is with him more, is just that he's like, I mean, I guess. Yeah, like when you put it like that he might murder me, I guess I should be worried. And I don't know. Just can't seem to care. I don't know. I kind of get that.
Hermione says the same thing too. You have to be really careful. Don't go looking for trouble.
Which is just victim blaming at its finest. Come on.
And so I feel like Harry's like, why does everybody keep fucking telling me not to go to bed?
Hey, I don't know if y'all remember, but I wasn't the one who was off killing roosters and shit last year. Throw some shade at Ginny real quick, even though she was totally, unable to defend herself. But still, pass the buck, Harry. Come on. And they can only find one compartment that's free, and there is somebody in it already. Also. And this dude is withered and ragged looking. And he's like young, but he's got graying hair and looks like a mess. And they're like, is he dead?
Right. At one point, Ron's like, he looks like he's one hex away. Like, tagging it all in. Yeah.
And as the ride continues on...
Oh, the sneakoscope goes off.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Which... just seems like there's so many reasons it could be going off. But yeah, it's most likely Scabbers,
Mm-hmm.
And they can't figure out what the problem is, so they just wrap it up in a sock to shut it up. And let's see. Oh, then they start talking about Hogsmeade, and Harry confesses that he will not be able to go, and Ron seems absolutely devastated about it. And he is, trying to suggest that maybe he can get McGonagall to sign it. To which Harry's like, have you met her?
Yeah, right. Like,
come on, buddy, don't say this.
McGonagall or some other McGonagall that you are aware of that we have not met
right,
yet.
Exactly. Perhaps you know her sister. The very sweet and lovable, and that's suggesting, though, that our McGonagall isn't lovable, and she is. But I guess I picture our McGonagall being a pearl, and that McGonagall being the amethyst, right? Pretty much. And let's see. Oh, fucking Malfoy has to come by.
Of course he does. They're on the train to school.
Because he's
you know how this works.
Every time. And he's about to try and start some shit until he realizes that Lupin is right there. Yeah. Even though he's asleep, he's just kind of like, meh, not worth it. And finally when he walks away, this is when the whole thing starts. The train starts to slow down and the lights are flickering. And Ron says we must be nearly there. And Hermione's like, no way. We have so much time left. And then the train completely stops. It goes dark. And all of a sudden, they're like babbling to each other. Neville shows up. And somebody yells, quiet. And fucking Lupin has finally woken up in their hour of need. And has conjured some flames to his hand, which he's using to illuminate the scene. And this is the first time that we see a Dementor.
Yeah.
What'd you think on rereading this?
I was thinking about how disappointed I was in the movie depiction, especially this first scene when you first see him. And that's pretty much, I mean, like, other than that, it was very similar to the first time when I read it.
What was it that you didn't like about him in the movie? Because I know we talked about it, but briefly. Were they just too CGI-y or something? No,
it was in the movie, like, I had pictured them not really being able to, like, see their faces. I wish I could see a picture of what it looked like in the movie so I could be more...
Oh, right, because the way that they're done in the movies is that there's just like it feels like there's just a black cloth draped over their entire head, kind of plastered down.
Right.
But you pictured it as a hood, and that they had an actual face that you simply couldn't see because it was far back in like the darkness of the hood, right?
Yeah, basically. So, and then when we see them... When do we see them again?
I don't know when the next time after this. I guess they when...
Not in this book. The next book. When do we see them again?
Oh, the next book?
Yeah. Either in the movies. Like, after this movie, when do we see them again? Because I feel like the next time I see them in a movie, they look different.
It's the 5th one, when Harry's with Dudley in the tunnel.
That version I like much better.
Interesting. I didn't remember that they looked different, but I'll have to check that out. Okay.
And,
yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Now I'm feeling like maybe I'm just making shit up. But
well, I'll leave you to research that. So let's see. Standing in the doorway, illuminated by the shivering flames in Lupin's hand, was a cloaked figure that towered to the ceiling. Its face was completely hidden beneath its hood. Harry's eyes darted downward, and what he saw made his stomach contract. There was a hand protruding from the cloak, and it was glistening, grayish, slimy looking, and scabbed like something dead that had decayed in water. But it was visible only for a split second. As though the creature beneath the cloak sensed Harry's gaze, the hand was suddenly withdrawn into the folds of its black cloak. And then the thing beneath the hood, whatever it was, drew a long, slow, rattling breath as though it were trying to suck something more than air from its surroundings. Ew.
Yeah.
And then he hears the screaming, and there's a fog, and he can't move, and then he's suddenly being woken up. And he does not even realize that he passed out, and everybody is very concerned. And when he's like, who was screaming, they're all kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
Nobody?
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
Why are you laughing? He had a trauma. And this is when Lupin gives him chocolate, which Harry does not eat right away, because he's still just kind of distracted by how weird everything is. And they also mention that Ginny is in a really bad state.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly bad, like almost as bad as Harry. And everyone else is like, I felt terrible, but it's not. Yeah, Ginny, who was huddled in her corner looking nearly as bad as Harry felt, gave a small sob. Hermione went over and put a comforting arm around her. So yeah, everybody else is like, oh, I felt terrible. But Ginny's like crying and not quite back to them yet.
Mm-hmm.
She had a really hard time. Which we find out later is because her possession by Voldemort it was kind of brought back in full Technicolor by this thing. In other words, she has a significant trauma in her past that the others don't have. So then Harry finally takes a bite of chocolate and all of a sudden starts warming up like out of nowhere. Like it's magic almost. And Harry is just super embarrassed by the fact that he fainted. And unfortunately, it turns out word already got out because Malfoy is over here doing his Malfoy thing.
Yeah. It didn't take long.
You fainted, Potter? Is Longbottom telling the truth? Neville!
Yeah, why?
Come
what was he thinking? Maybe he was talking to somebody else and Malfoy just overheard. That's what I like to think.
Right.
But why are you telling anybody this is not your business to tell? Do better, Neville, which we all know he does.
Yeah, I mean, he does eventually. That's true. I guess, like, he probably doesn't realize. I think that Neville's just so sweet and innocent. He's such a good little cinnamon roll that he doesn't know how this can be weaponized. Like, it doesn't even occur to him. You know?
I guess so. I mean, excuse me. I guess that's fair. I thought it was just more of like that Neville can be careless with things, with information.
Yeah, well, yeah, that comes true further on in the book, too.
But you're right. That probably doesn't occur to him that someone could use it as a weapon,
Because, like, I'm thinking about my reaction if somebody was like, oh my God, what happened? And if I was like, oh, Harry fainted. I don't think I'd realize at the time what saying that could potentially do, I'd just be like, well, it's kind of obvious. Didn't ever, like, I don't know that I would think of it either. So, oh, Neville.
We're all little Neville.
And Malfoy finally gets a load of Lupin and is very unimpressed by his rumpled, dilapidated, patched up appearance and calls him Professor with this fucking, like, quotation marks around it. And McGonagall takes Harry and Hermione aside and wants to know if he's okay. And she, like, kind of pushes it a little bit and it's like, hey, so we're going to take you to see Madame Pomfrey. And Harry's like, oh my God, can we not, please? But of course, Madame Pomfrey is, she just is very overzealous when it comes to the health of her students. I suppose you've been doing something dangerous again. It was a Dementor, Poppy, said Professor McGonagall. They exchanged a dark look, and Madame Pomfrey clucked disapprovingly. But she is very glad that somebody who knows his shit gave Harry some chocolate. Yeah. She does approve of that. We finally got a defense against the dark arts teacher who knows his remedies. And Harry is sent out once it's clear that he's going to be fine, so that McGonagall can talk to Hermione about her course schedule.
Which we get none of.
And once they get back, the sorting has already been done. So Harry tries to tell Ron once he gets back, because Ron's like, well, what was all that about? But then Professor Dumbledore gets up and basically is like, hey, guys, so in case you didn't already know, because Harry Potter fainted on the train, right. Dementors is bad news. Avoid them.
Welcome.
Right?
Everything is terrible here.
And he says Dementors are not to be fooled by tricks or disguises or even invisibility cloaks. Now that we know that that's a Deathly Hallow invisibility cloak, do you think it would work on Dementors?
That's a really interesting question. I want to say yes.
I kind of think it would, right? Because I don't think Harry ever uses it around Dementors for us to have that disproven.
And I mean, Dumbledore, if I remember correctly, has suspected that the invisibility cloak was one of the Hallows, right?
I just don't remember how early on he suspects it.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Because he makes it a point, and when you first read the book, when I first read it, I didn't think of it anything other than just being a very direct bit of information to Harry. But if Dumbledore suspected that it was one of the Deathly Hallows and he still gives this directive, I'm wondering if maybe Dumbledore knew something that we just don't know. But it's hard to say because we don't know how far along on this Dumbledore is. Like, we don't know if he has these suspicions yet about the cloak.
Right.
I feel like when they talk about, I'm trying to remember, does he say anything along the lines of, I've always wondered or I've always suspected? I don't
think so. Not that I remember.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Which is interesting because this is a whole other conversation, but...
What?
I can't remember. Dumbledore has had this cloak for a while. And he knows exactly what it's capable of, right? And
Right.
Dumbledore is pretty smart, and he knows his history. He knows all types of magic. He's got to know that the cloak is very special,
I would assume at
right?
least that, yes. I think that, like, if I were in his shoes at that point, I would figure that just some really good wizard did, like, a extraordinarily long-lasting charm on it or something, but
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm. Maybe it's not. I mean, I guess it could just be that it's. I mean, this doesn't have anything to do with your question because your question was just if you think it would work, and I think it would. I think the cloak would work, and maybe it doesn't even matter if Dumbledore thinks it would or not because he's still going to tell Harry, "Don't even try it." You know,
Right.
like even if Dumbledore knows for a fact that it would work, I think he would still say this because he doesn't want Harry to know it would work. He doesn't even want him to take the chance.
Let's see. I'm looking up the Cloak of Invisibility to see if there's something. The Cloak of Invisibility, la 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 la. Yeah, that's one of those fucking. Don't even want to call it like a plot hole necessarily, but the fact that Mad Eye Moody's eye can see through it bothers me. Remember?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
If he can see through it, probably a Dementor can.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, see, I don't really know, or I don't remember enough about the Dementors to say.
It is
I don't know.
resistant to jinxes, hexes, and other spells which would normally damage or otherwise render a normal invisibility cloak ineffective. For example, just before the Battle of Hogwarts, while Ron, Hermione, and Harry were huddled under it, a Death Eater's summoning charm had no effect on removing the cloak of invisibility. It has also remained completely effective through its long existence of around 7 centuries, unlike other cloaks which lose their power over time. Although powerful, the cloak is not infallible. While it itself resists spell damage, it does not shield the wearer from spells used against them personally. For example, Harry was immobilized while under the cloak twice during the 96 and 97 school year. In addition, it will not hide the wearer from detection that is not based on optical sight, such as Alastor's magical eye, magical creatures such as Dementors, spells such as the Human Presence Revealing spell, the Marauder's Map, or arguably certain dark detectors. Sneakoscopes would still presumably detect an untrustworthy action performed under the cloak. And it's possible but uncertain that the cloak would be detected by probity probes. Okay, that is a very satisfactory answer to that question.
Yeah.
I suspect by the time we get to this response that I have found, I will have already received 5 emails from very impatient listeners who couldn't wait to find out that I went and looked up the answer. I cannot tell you how often I get messages from people who are like, in response to your question, and I'm like, yo, you could have just waited 10 minutes. Because I found the answer within that same episode, but people get very overexcited. But yeah, okay. So Dumbledore, like, maybe has figured some of that out by now, its limitations and things.
Okay.
Either that or just is like, you know what, just be fucking careful and don't do that. Because, you know, your soul, that's important.
This whole introduction of the Dementors to the Hogwarts campus is so ludicrous. Like,
Luda!
he's
Sorry.
He's telling them that these things are so dangerous that they do not respond to reason or excuses and to just stay out of their way.
Mm-hmm.
But they have free, but they're going to just be around.
Right.
And you guys just go ahead and go about your learning.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fine.
You know, like you do. Yeah, he isn't, I mean, he's not happy about it, but the ministry insisted. And he's trying to be careful? I don't know.
I don't know if careful's the right word.
I mean, you know what?
I know.
You fucking know what this is? This is people wanting teachers to be strapped because of school shootings. That's what this is.
Okay, yeah. I will allow that.
Like, it's a stupid fucking dangerous ass solution that only very unimaginative people think is going to work or do anything.
Yeah.
Or someone could argue way too imaginative people who think that everybody's fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah. Just don't do it, man. Just no. So then we get the introduction of Lupin, Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Professor Lupin looked particularly shabby next to all the other teachers in their best robes. Look at Snape, Ron hissed in Harry's ear. Professor Snape, the potions master, was staring along the staff table at Professor Lupin. It was common knowledge that Snape wanted the Defense Against the Dark Arts job, but even Harry, who hated Snape, was startled at the expression twisting his thin, sallow face. It was beyond anger. It was loathing. Harry knew that expression only too well. It was the look Snape wore every time he set eyes on Harry. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when I first read it, I was like, well, that's got to just be because he got the job that Snape wants. Mm-hmm. But, turns out there was a lot more to it than just that. The history that they had. Part of me wonder, like, is the loathing tied to the fact that Lupin is a werewolf? Because Snape is helping him keep that under wraps. So it's not about that. It's just the
bullying, the personal,
bullying, right?
yeah.
It's just a personal connection. Also, they didn't have robes for Lupin to wear. He's a new faculty member.
Do they provide? I don't think that's part of the deal.
I was thinking about that too. Is why are these kids buying books every year? Why? This is not college. Why don't they have books?
When Dumbledore goes and speaks to Tom Riddle, he tells him that they have like a fund in place for students that don't have money. So if they don't have means,
well, I know that
they can
have
get it provided.
Like when Harry doesn't have his potions book, and they have like old ones that he can grab,
right
out of the cabinet. So I know that they have books available for some students. But my question is, when you go to school, even private school, until you're college aged, they usually provide the books.
I don't know how it is in Britain. They might not. Do they?
I don't know. That's a question for our listeners.
Yeah, because the way that schooling works in different places, it's like things that it never even occurred to me would be different are really different. So I'm not really sure. But yeah, let us know, guys. Is this something that you all had to worry about, going and getting your books as well as everything else? Or, but yeah. So, and then our second new appointment, Professor Kettleburn, our Care of Magical Creatures teacher, retired at the end of last year in order to enjoy more time with his remaining limbs.
Oh my God, I went to all the stories for that.
I should look that up and see if there's... However, I'm delighted to say that his place will be filled by none other than Rubeus Hagrid, who has agreed to take on this teaching job in addition to his gamekeeping duties. And they joined in with the applause, which was tumultuous at the Gryffindor table in particular. Mm-hmm. Hagrid was ruby red in the face and staring down at his enormous hands. Aw, he gets to be a teacher and he didn't even get to graduate. They need to fix that. Come on. I think that's everything of importance. Let the feast begin. And then, once they're done, they go on and say congratulations to Hagrid. And then they head back to their rooms. And they go to bed. And Harry feels like he's home at last.
Yep.
Like I said, golden age.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just thinking, and then everything takes a turn.
Golden years. Yeah, this is just like, it's kind of heartbreaking, honestly, like to know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like that about your own life? Like you look back at a moment and you're like, oh God, if only I had known.
All the time.
Man, so many things that you're just like, sweetie.
Yeah.
I always get the voice in my head of Veruca Salt's father in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Veruca, sweetheart, angel, now, is the way that I talk to my old self. In my head, my younger self. Oh, sweetheart, angel, shut up, no. But yeah, it's so bittersweet to go back and read these early books when things were still lovely.
Yeah.
School was going the way it was supposed to. People were being the way they were supposed to.
Yep. Even the shit people. Like,
Indeed.
even Malfoy is still being terrible, but it's just regular, like, Malfoy being terrible.
Yeah.
Shit. You know, even that gets so much worse, you know?
Yeah.
Here he's just like a little shit, but like in a little while he's a fucking Death Eater.
Yeah, right? Like,
yeah.
What happens when the guy who was just like some boring bully turns out to be a fucking like gun-toting white supremacist?
Oh, they become president.
Trenchant.
Commentary.
All right, so new patrons this week. Welcome to Seven Bear Sarah, Ashley Ways, Darcy Meadows, Michael D., Anne McDougall, and Anja Fetcher. Oh, welcome to all of you guys. Thank you so much for becoming patrons. You're the best. We love you so much. And a couple of you are $5 and up, which means you will get access to the Twin Peaks coverage that I'm doing with Maggie. And a couple of you are $10 and up, which means that you will get access to the patrons-only postcards that I send out once a month. And please forgive me, those of you who have been patrons for the month of September. I had a birthday, and so it set my whole schedule on fire. I'm sending out my postcards rather late this month, but they will be on time next month, I swear. I was making rather merry. To quote Bob Cratchit. Can I have another coal for the fire?
Oh my God.
Listen,
Bob
my brain works in strange ways.
It
I
really
don't.
does.
I'm not even like trying to be fucking pretentious with like, I'm going to quote Dickens. I'm just like, nah, remember that guy who was poor?
But still loved Christmas.
He loved Christmas. And I want to say an enormous thank you to all of our donors on the GoFundMe. We finally reached our $3,000 goal, which is amazing. So at this point, we have our tickets to the park covered, our room covered, and we have some money to spare, a bit to spare. Now, we have 2 full months before our trip. And it was suggested by a admirable, ambitious, and caring member of our community that maybe I should raise the goal again, because at the moment, Rashawn, Owen, and I are all sharing a hotel room in order to save on costs. And this person was like, well, what if you raised it again and y'all got a separate room for Rashawn? Now, Rashawn is really uncomfortable.
I hate every minute of this, and I almost wish you would have just added this on after I was gone.
Rashawn is really uncomfortable with me phrasing it as, I'm raising the limit so that Rashawn can get a separate room. So instead, I will phrase it as, I'm raising the limit so I can get a room away from Rashawn because she smells terrible probably, and I just can't bear to spend a whole 5 days with her. So in order to save Rashawn's face, is that how that goes? Save your face. I am the one who wants the separate room, and not that Owen will stay with Rashawn. He'll come with me also. And that's what we're raising the goal for, because she can't handle the responsibility, everyone. It's just too much, and she doesn't like it. Listen to her. Can you hear her? She's about to have a breakdown.
I hope you're enjoying this.
I am a little bit. Like, I planned ahead how I was going to really, like, dig in on it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
I sent out a notice to everybody who had donated already that we did our next reward episode covering movies 4, 5, and 6. And that's in the same Dropbox folder that the first one was in. So if you have the link that you originally got when you first donated, that same link is going to take you to the second episode as well. If you have lost that link, feel free to email me at unspoiledpodcast@gmail.com, and I will email you the link again. But you don't need a new one if you have the old one, because it'll be the same link. So without further ado, I would like to say thank you to our new donors, because y'all, I raised that limit again, and y'all came through already, and we're $120 higher. So, Manja Johansson, Corey Puckett, Katie Rieken, Jamie Bishop, Sarah Nink. I'm going back. Sorry. Anonymous, AF Tanith, James Moores, Mary Kate Pagano, Ashley Ways, Victor Chan, Aurora Barr, Jamie Smith. What's up, Jamie? And Blades. Guys, thank you all so much. Like, it's just banana. I'm just so excited for this trip. And the mental difference in knowing that things are going to be paid for, it cannot be overstated how much of a relief that is. You guys are making this happen for us. And Rashawn and I are going to simultaneously have a great time and also probably be crying a lot, is what I estimate it's going to be like, right? Like, and probably a little bit of drunk crying also. Like, we're going to be fine and we're going to be having a good time and laughing and drinking. And then all of a sudden, the fact that we're like at the pool having cocktails, relaxing, will just really sink in, like, emotionally, and we will like break down completely. So, I'll send y'all some.
It's not going to be awkward for the other people at the pool at all.
There won't be any. We're going to drive them all away. I'll post some teary-eyed selfies for everybody. But a lot of you guys sent like really sweet notes and things. I had been reading them all when I first got donations, but because we're getting so many now, I don't have time to read every single one. But just everybody who sent a little note with the donation, know that I read it. It's really sweet. I really appreciate them all. And I appreciate them just as much as your dollars. So, not really. Dollars are best. Am I wrong? Rashawn knows. She's like, I'm not going to say it. Oh, God. But yeah, I'm just kind of still in shock that this is happening. I'm in shock that this is happening. Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same place. And, it's funny, like, whenever we talk about it, I know it doesn't sound like I'm excited, guys, but I am.
Jeez. She's just keeping it inside.
I won't really get that it's happening until it's actually happening. And I'm just built that way. It's not until the thing is actually the thing that I finally take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, now it's okay to be excited.
Like, is that gonna, like, are you gonna be at the pool with me and you won't be able to relax because you're like, we're probably gonna get a storm?
No, it's not that kind of thing. No, it doesn't work that way for me.
Okay. As long as there comes a point where you will be able to enjoy yourself, then okay. Yeah. I'll allow it.
Once, like, I'm packing, then I'll get, like, super, super giddy and excited. And then once I start traveling, it's a whole different, you'll see. It's hard to describe.
Oh, God.
But you're in
This
for a
will be
treat.
great. I'm super excited to see one of your particular neuroses up close and personal. Goody.
Oh, yeah, it should be fun. It's, yeah, I cannot get excited about stuff until it happens because I just don't want to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't do the preamble. But then once I'm in, I'm all in.
All in. All right. Well, guys, let's get Rashawn all in, shall we? Let's do this. Because we're getting her in her own hotel room. See, I did it. I pulled the rug out at the end. Thanks for listening, everybody.
You.
Oh, shit. Wait, before we go, I almost forgot one of my favorite things that I wanted to message, to say. One, thank you, super duper much to Melanie Linares, who sent me, the movie Hogfather, based on the book by Terry Pratchett, I guess. I don't know if it was a book first, but it says Terry Pratchett's Hogfather on it. I haven't watched it yet. Also sent me a, tarot, playing card deck, which I'm really interested to see what that's like. And sent those with a really sweet birthday card that was labeled to Natasha, the boss bitch, which was great. So thank you, Melanie. Thank you to Simone. I think Simone last time who sent me the stickers from my Happy Planner.
Yeah, you did, because you said it was right on time too. Yeah.
And thank you to Katie Fox, who sent me, without even realizing, I thought it was for my birthday. No, she didn't know it was my birthday. It was a perfect coincidence. She sent me the September Accio box. Guys, listen. This Accio box was fucking boss. There's a video on our YouTube channel of me opening it live. Forgive me, because it's a little awkward and strange since I'm by myself pulling things out of a box. But it was themed as the Resistance box. And there is a really cool print that says resist, join the order. That has a phoenix on it, and it's done in this kind of Art Deco modern style. There is a patch, a bath bomb from Love Good Bath Potions, a couple of stickers, one that says resist and the other that says it is important that you fight and fight again and keep fighting. And one of my favorite items, of course, which was a flask engraved with the words constant vigilance in all caps, which I just squealed with delight when I saw it. It was so much fun to get. I had no idea it was coming, and it arrived the day after my birthday. It could not have been better timing. So thank you, Katie, so much for that. And just what a delight. I love getting surprises. It's just so much fun. So thank you for that. And I'm really looking forward to, I will do a live unboxing as well for the Halloween box, which I got for myself for a birthday treat, which I don't think that they have shipped yet, but it should be shipping soon. So if you want to get an Accio box subscription, guys, you should do it with my code unspoiled. If you do that, you get 10% off your first 3 months. And all some of the best things in that box, the Constant Vigilance flask, the Join the Order print, and I think the stickers also, if I'm not mistaken, are all exclusives for Accio box that you cannot buy on Etsy. Because some of the other stuff that we got in the previous box for August, the pin and the Ron paper doll and stuff like that, you could find them and buy them on Etsy for yourself if you wanted just that one item. But none of those things are available to be purchased, and they're some of the best stuff in the box. So, it's one of those things where it's yeah, you could get your own stuff for, without having to get a subscription, but they have some really special things that you're never going to see again. Mm-hmm. And who doesn't want a flask that says constant vigilance on it? Come on. I am so bringing that to Universal. You better be ready. I'm probably going to get stopped by the TSA with that shit. Maybe I should pack that on, not as a carry-on. Is that allowed? Would that look like a bomb?
No, but I think it would be over there at limit they have for how many liquid ounces you can carry.
What if I didn't have, what if it was only like half full?
If it was empty, you probably wouldn't have any problem at all.
Are nippers underneath the limit?
Oh my God.
I could just fill my bag with nippers and then fill the flask after I get through security. Oh, I've got it figured out.
Look at you.
I'm going to be drunk by the time I get to Florida, and it's going to be a disaster. You're going to be totally over me. We're going to be like so excited to see each other. You're going to hug me and you're going to be like, oh shit. All right. Babysitting.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I won't do it. If anything, I'll share. Promise. All right. That's really everything, I swear. Thanks, Rashawn, for being here tonight. Love you, girl.
I was happy to be here.
It's almost 1 o'clock where you are. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm so sorry. You're a good friend.
I am a good friend.
You are. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. We love you dearly. Oh, and thanks to Jamie Bishop, who sent me money so that I could go to brunch for my birthday also. Jamie, you made my brunch happen, and that brunch was bomb. Oh, it was so good. So thank you for that. Guys, I just had the best birthday. It was awesome. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.